What if I told you that the person everyone underestimated just became the most formidable presence in the room? Stay with me, because what you're about to discover will completely rewrite everything you thought you knew about emotional intelligence and personal power. Here's what most people don't see coming. The empath who once absorbed everyone's emotions, who bent over backwards to keep the peace, who sacrificed their own needs for others, they've transformed into something far more complex and, frankly, absolutely terrifying to those who took advantage of them. You see, people mistake silence for surrender. They confuse patience with weakness. But what's actually happening beneath the surface will shock you. The empath isn't breaking down. They're breaking through. Listen carefully, because this is where everything changes. Empaths develop a trait that most people spend their entire lives avoiding: radical emotional honesty. They stop pretending. They stop cushioning harsh truths with soft words. When someone asks for their opinion, they give it. Not with cruelty, but with a clarity that cuts through pretense like a knife through silk. This isn't about being harsh. It's about having survived enough deception to recognize that politeness without authenticity is just another form of lying. And once an empath commits to truth, they become impossible to manipulate with half-truths and empty promises. But here's where it gets dangerous, and why superficial people should be genuinely concerned. Empaths develop what I call pattern recognition on steroids. They've catalogued every manipulation, every guilt trip, every passive-aggressive comment, every broken promise. Their brain has become a sophisticated database of human behavior. They can spot a manipulation attempt before it's even fully formed. They see the setup 3 moves ahead. They recognize the script because they've heard it 1,000 times before. And instead of falling for it again, they simply step aside and watch it collapse under its own weight. What happens next will redefine everything you thought you knew about boundaries. The transformed empath develops something absolutely revolutionary: selective availability. They're no longer accessible to everyone, anytime, for any reason. Their time becomes precious. Their energy becomes sacred. Their presence becomes earned, not assumed. They stop responding to every text immediately. They stop saying yes when they mean no. They stop showing up for people who never show up for them. This isn't game playing or manipulation. It's what happens when someone finally understands that their generosity was being exploited, not appreciated. Here's the twist that will blow your mind. Empaths develop an immunity to emotional blackmail that borders on supernatural. The guilt trips that once worked flawlessly now bounce off them like rain off a windshield. The tears that used to trigger their rescue instinct now get met with calm observation. They've learned the difference between someone in genuine distress and someone performing distress to get their way. And once they can tell the difference, they become absolutely unmovable. They'll help the person who genuinely needs support. They'll walk away from the person who's simply trying to control them through manufactured crisis. But here's what will absolutely send shivers down your spine. The awakened empath develops something I call strategic detachment. They don't cut people off in anger. They don't burn bridges in dramatic explosions. They simply, quietly, deliberately reduce their investment in relationships that don't serve their growth. They become cordial but distant, polite but unavailable, kind but impenetrable. They master the art of being present without being vulnerable, engaged without being invested. And this calculated withdrawal is far more devastating than any angry confrontation could ever be. Listen to what happens next, because this is where the tables turn completely. Empaths develop an unshakable sense of self-worth that no longer requires external validation. They stop seeking approval from people who don't respect them. They stop explaining themselves to those who are determined to misunderstand them. They reach a point where someone's opinion of them, good or bad, simply doesn't register as relevant anymore. This isn't arrogance, it's liberation. They've learned that people who matter don't require constant proof of their worth, and people who require constant proof don't actually matter. But here's the part that makes them truly formidable. The transformed empath develops what I call weaponized calmness. When someone tries to provoke them, they respond with unsettling tranquility. When someone attempts to start an argument, they refuse to engage. When someone expects an emotional reaction, they offer only measured observation. This calmness isn't weakness, it's absolute control. It's the psychological equivalent of a grandmaster playing chess against someone who just learned the rules. They're operating on a completely different level, and their composure highlights just how desperate the other person's tactics have become. Here's where the psychology gets absolutely fascinating. Empaths develop an ability to hold space for uncomfortable emotions without trying to fix them. They can sit with someone's anger, disappointment, or disapproval without scrambling to make it better. They've learned that not every emotion directed at them requires their response or resolution. They stop being emotional janitors, cleaning up everyone else's feelings. They let people sit in the discomfort of their own reactions, and this refusal to rescue others from the consequences of their own behavior becomes one of their most powerful tools. What emerges next is what I call the empowerment paradox, and it changes everything. The empath who has been pushed too far develops a paradoxical combination of deep compassion and absolute ruthlessness. They'll be incredibly kind to those who deserve it and completely unmoved by those who don't. They've learned to love people while simultaneously being willing to lose them. They care deeply but hold loosely. They invest genuinely but withdraw instantly when disrespected. This ability to turn their emotional investment on and off like a switch is something most people never develop, and it's absolutely terrifying to those who counted on their unconditional availability. But the final transformation, this is what makes them truly untouchable. The fully awakened empath develops an internal validation system that makes external manipulation impossible. They know their worth intimately. They trust their perceptions completely. They honor their boundaries absolutely. They stop needing others to confirm their reality. They stop seeking permission to trust their instincts. They stop apologizing for having needs, standards, and deal breakers. They become whole unto themselves, not through isolation, but through integration of every lesson their pain has taught them. Here's the moment when everything shifts permanently. The awakened empath realizes that their sensitivity isn't a liability to be managed. It's a superpower to be wielded strategically. They feel everything, but they're no longer controlled by those feelings. They understand everyone, but they're no longer manipulated by that understanding. They've become dangerous not because they attack, but because they cannot be used, controlled, or broken again. They're intimidating not because they're cruel, but because they're certain. They've walked through fire and emerged not just healed, but holy. The empath's journey from doormat to force of nature isn't just personal transformation. It's a complete revolution of self. They descend into the depths of being used and betrayed. They face the shadow of their people-pleasing tendencies. They integrate their power to say no, and they emerge not just recovered but refined. This is the psychology of the transformed empath. And once you understand it, you'll never again mistake their kindness for weakness, their silence for acceptance, or their patience for permission to cross their boundaries. They are living proof that within every wound lies the seed of strength, and within every betrayal lies the invitation to become more authentic, more powerful, and more whole than ever before.